Welcome to the review that drip blood. I'm your host, Jeffrey Woods, and we'll be doing something a little different in this episode. When I discovered someone put out a Christian film based loosely on the Saw franchise, I knew I had to check it out. So in this episode, we'll be taking a closer look at the 2015 Christian thriller, The Reconciler, which was directed by Shawn and co-written with Scott Galbraith. It stars Scott Galbraith, Sherry Morris, Jeremy and Jourdan Steele, Erin T. Allen, and Roddy Piper. The Reconciler tells two consecutive stories. First, it follows James, also known as Smitty, and Ed, two strangers who wake up together in what appears to be a storage unit. Neither have any recollection of how they got there, but the pair come to the conclusion that they've been kidnapped and are trapped inside. They eventually come across a locked trunk containing Alex, James's estranged brother, who's still alive. Ed is a reporter for a newspaper called The Mariner and recognizes that they've been kidnapped by someone known as the Reconciler, an elusive figure that seemingly abducts random people, usually people who have connection to each other like separated family members, friends, or co-workers who he keeps locked up together until they reconcile their differences. Then we meet Lori, a reporter for a paper who primarily writes small social pieces like wedding announcements. That is, until her boss, played by Roddy Piper, assigns her a more significant project. He wants her to research and write about the apparent loss of morality in America and how that relates to the masses moving away from religion. While all of this is going on, we learn about some of the Reconciler's other targets. So, what do I like about this film? I really admire that the people behind it went out on a limb and tried to do something different with the Christian genre. I'm going to take a stab in the dark and assume that Shawn or someone close to him is a fan of the Saw series, and so they decided to incorporate that into this project. They did a great job with the casting. Overall, the performances are memorable, though I'm going to admit that Roddy Piper's involvement sealed the deal for me personally when I decided to give it a chance. The cinematography is great, and the locations they got are gorgeous. You can tell that a lot of passion went into the making of this film. So, what didn't I like about this film? Honestly, my only grievance would be that when Lori starts working on her article, she specifically states that her plan is to interview religious leaders of various faiths. But that goes out the window as soon as she interviews a Christian pastor who suggests she speak with other members of their community. Then the narrative changes to how the lack of morality in America is related to people moving away from the Christian faith. And yes, I understand that this observation is redundant considering this film is marketed toward the Christian audience. Before we conclude, I'd like to take a moment to shamelessly promote my first children's horror fiction novel, Erie, Ohio, Here Comes the Boogeyman, a fun, spooky read the whole family can enjoy. You can find Erie, Ohio, Here Comes the Boogeyman almost everywhere ebooks are sold, and if you want a physical copy, head on over to Amazon.com. Now, back to the review. Overall, I enjoyed the film for what it was and appreciate what the people behind it were trying to do, which is why I'm giving it 9 creepy people that are way too involved in other people's private lives out of 10. I mean, seriously, this film could have easily went down the same path as 1 Hour Photo with a few tweaks to the script. On that note, if you enjoyed this review, please click the like button and make sure to subscribe to the review that drip blood.